nervous system is our next topic, and we're going to talk quite a bit in class. We have a lot of labs to do about the nervous system. I think this is a super interesting part of your body, mostly because it is pretty much in charge of everything, and people know a lot about what it does. The nervous system has three basic functions. Number one is to detect external and internal changes. So you noticed that your computer turned on. That is an external change. Or you notice you're hungry. That would be an internal change. You make decisions about those changes. You decide what to do about that. My computer's on. I'm either going to log into Moodle and watch my notes, or I'm going to go to Facebook first and do some stuff there. That's a decision you're going to make about that change. Oh, my stomach's growling. I need to make a decision about that. And then the third thing is you act on those decisions. So that would be the motor part of the nervous system. Is that, okay, my computer's on. I'm going to move my mouse around until I get to the internet. I'm going to click on the internet, and now I'm going to choose either Facebook or Moodle to do my homework. And you do it. Okay, or you're hungry, so you get up and walk to the pantry and grab a bag of chips. Okay, and all along the way, if you really think about it, as you're moving to the pantry, you're getting external changes, and you're sensing those too. The nervous system is organized. This slide here shows the organization of the nervous system. The central nervous, there are two basic parts. The central nervous system, which consists of the brain and the spinal cord, and we'll talk quite a bit about those a little later on. You have the peripheral nervous system. Sorry about that, my ink's a little off. The peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system. Peripheral meaning outside or whatever. The peripheral actually consists of two parts. The autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system and the somatic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is what our next slide's about. We'll talk about that separately from the somatic nervous system. So we have central, brain and spinal cord, which kind of makes sense. It's kind of in the center of your body. The peripheral, which is the outside parts. Okay, everything that's not in the brain or spinal cord is part of the peripheral nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system consists of, it's also called the fight or flight and rest and digest. This is like, I should have probably bracketed that. So the sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight part. There's a table in your book that goes through this in some detail. So if you think about this, autonomic is kind of synonyms with automatic. So there's certain things that happen when you want to fight or flee. Your heart beats faster, your pupils dilate, your mouth dries out. All of these things are run by the sympathetic nervous system. So your eye, your pupil dilates, your salivary glands quit producing saliva, your heart beats faster, your bronchi and trachea dilate, your stomach quits working, your adrenal medulla produces adrenaline. All of those things are part of the fight or flight response. The opposite is when you're coming down, or maybe you've just eaten a big meal. We call it the rest and digest. Your digestive system starts to work and move and do peristalsis. Your heart rate slows a bit. Your trachea and bronchi constrict back. Your salivary glands increase and produce saliva. All those are the autonomic nervous system. Okay? The autonomic nervous system works in conjunction together with the endocrine system, and we'll talk a little bit more. The endocrine system, we haven't talked yet, would be hormones. Okay, we've already mentioned one, adrenaline, or the adrenal gland. And all of these nerves that we're showing here, you see the spinal cord here in the middle, all of these nerves are separate nerve pathways from the somatic nervous system. Okay? There are other nerves that run your eye that you control. You can control the movements and stuff. That's different. Okay? Those are separate pathways and from the somatic nervous system. The somatic nervous system consists of basically two branches. Well, actually both. There are sensory nerves that bring messages from the body to the central nervous system. They can be 3 feet or more in length. Integrative nerves. These are the ones where you do where decisions are made, remember? They're found in the central nervous system. Their job is to integrate messages, and I put between sensory and motor neurons, but in a lot of places, they integrate with each other. They work together to make decisions, if you will. And then the last one is motor neurons. Motor neurons go from the central nervous system, okay? So they come from the central nervous system to things like muscles and to glands. So when you smell chocolate chip cookies, their salivary glands squeeze. That's a motor nerve. When you want to pick up your pencil off the table, that's a motor nerve that's telling your muscle to contract and pick up the pencil off the table. So a nerve cell, we just talked about different kinds of nerves. Okay, they don't all look like this, but many do. Okay, especially sensory and motor nerves. Nerve cells, scientific word for a nerve cell is a neuron. And one of the things you will need to know are the parts of a neuron. There are other cells in the nervous system called neuroglial cells. Sorry, I'm having a hard time writing with my mouse. Neuroglial cells, or just glial cells. When we talk about the brain, we can talk about those some more. Those are like connective tissue or support cells. The neuron here is made up of certain parts that you're going to have to know. The first part of the nerve that you have to know is the dendrite. Dendrites are these guys out here on the perimeter. They're the branches of the nerve that receive messages, and they conduct impulses towards the cell body. The cell body is right here. I highly recommend sketching this neuron into your notes to know the parts. The axon is this long branching structure, that extends down from the nerve, from the cell body. Its job is primarily to transmit messages. When we talk about how a neuron transmits messages, we're going to talk in more detail about the axon. A couple other things to know. Around the axon, I'm going to erase some of this ink. It's a little bit confusing here, so I'm going to erase this one. Around the axon, if you can see, looks like it's kind of like little sausages here. What that really is a layer of insulation on the axon of long nerves, and that layer is called the myelin sheath, or myelin for short. Okay? Myelin's job is to increase the transmission speed of, and that's supposed to be neural impulses. Increase transmission speed of nerves. That's the job of myelin. What's not on here, down here, these little guys are not dendrites. These are axon endings. This is the end of the axon, and you can see it's kind of sprayed out in case this axon has to communicate with many other nerves, or it communicates with the dendrites of the next nerve. Oops, do that a little incorrectly. The dendrites of the next nerve. The other thing that's not here, this really isn't part of a nerve, but one thing to know is that nerve cells never touch each other. In fact, there's always a space between one nerve cell and the next nerve cell. That space, and you're going to hear about this over and over again in the next couple weeks is called the synapse. synapse. So, what we've talked about here is we've talked about the basic premise of the nervous system. What does it do? Its basic parts, central, peripheral, the parts of the peripheral nervous system, the autonomic and somatic, parts of a neuron that you have to know, and the three types of nerves. Just basic kind of memorization information about the nervous system.